Are clits just minuscule micropenises? Penises are giant clits. See, Becky, it's not small. It's really a clit. The same thing develops as different organs. Also, it is gigantic inside the body, the clit, and I presume that G-spot is around the inner clit and the thin passage. Sorta. It's more accurate to say that penises are giant clits. Because the default setting for humans is female. Eta embryos start out with effectively female genitalia. As another Redditor said, as development progresses, male genitalia will typically form in response to testosterone and other hormones. But if something glitches in that process, external anatomy will be female. If you had a computer program that drew a picture of a house every time you ran it unless you specifically told it not to, the default setting for the program would be draw a house. That's the type of paradigm I am working with, but it's more of a semantics than a biological issue. Other way around, fella. Sorta, but no. They are effectively what would become the head of one's penis though. He'll put in my experience, as a trans man's clitoris tends to get significantly larger on testosterone, and starts to kinda look like the head of a penis. It also starts to behave like one, i.e. you get boners when aroused, morning wood, and even random boners like teenage boys. I've heard though that the clit does actually have the same reaction to arousal pre-T getting hard. It's just nearly impossible to notice, because it's so much smaller. There is also a type of bottom surgery for trans men called metoidioplasty, where the surgeon uses the clitoral growth or bottom growth as it's known colloquially to create what is functionally a micropenis. But all that said, my experience tends to lean towards yay, they kind are, or just that penises and clits are much more similar than we might assume at first. The question has been answered through homologous structures and all that, so I will leave you with this HTTPS. Other way around. Everyone in the planet started as a female. Now most of the clit is internal. If you look at the internal parts you can see it's a very different organ. Only a small part, the clitoral gland, is visceb from the outside. https://n.m.wikipedia.org wiki clitoris media file clitoral anatomy updated.jpg clit is short for clitoris. Similarly, the area beneath the penile gland is very sensitive, just as the external aspect of the clitoris, so yes, they are basically one and the same aside from the penile opening. Furthermore, both organs can become erect with sexual stimulation and produce orgasm. Next time someone says I have a small dick, I'm going to be an optimist and let them know it's actually a quite large clit. Penises are actually large clits. We all start out female in the womb. Some of us just go on to develop male hormones and genitalia. Sure. Think of the clitoris and the penis as distant relatives at a family reunion. They share some quirky similarity, like how they both started out from the same genetic party yet they've chosen very different paths in life. The clitoris is like the fun-loving cousin who shows up just for the dance floor, armed with a sparkling personality and a talent for getting everyone excited. With around 8,000 nerve endings, it's basically the VIP section of Pleasure Town. It's small, but mighty, and its sole mission is to bring joy and a whole lot of fireworks. Meanwhile, the penis is like that multi-talented uncle who thinks he's the life of the party. He's got the moves for both urination and reproduction, and he's just a bit more versatile. But let's be real, it can sometimes hog the spotlight and forget that the party can't really get going without the clit. So, while you could say the clit is like a tiny penis, that would be like calling a sports car just a smaller car. They are both amazing in their own right, but they each have their unique roles in the wild world of human anatomy and pleasure. All fetuses are female to start with, so penises are big clits. No, penises are big clits. Female is the default model. Only when you hit a certain switch, things will morph into a dude. If that switch isn't flipped, it stays a girl. That is why you have nipples. In the womb, if the Y chromosome activates, then the genitals stop developing female characteristics, the ovaries go down and become testes, the clitoris grows bigger and grows the urethral tract through itself, and the uterus and vagina don't form. The labia closes to form the scrotum, that's why men have a stitch line. The lips literally fuse together and the prostate is formed from the same tissue as the female skin glands. The clitoris is really just a leftover for when there is no Y chromosome, but it still plays a big role since the bulb's homologous to the corpus cavernosus, and heads swell up with blood and makes sexual encounters more pleasurable for both partners since it stimulates the production of natural lubricants and makes the area more sensitive. The clitoris isn't just a nub, but a wishbone-shaped organ that wraps around the vagina, with the head that most are familiar with being a really tiny penis glands, being just as sensitive. Vibrators work very well for women since the part of the head that's inside the body is stimulated as well. Yes, Male and female anatomy are similar in ways that would disturb a lot of people if they thought about it too much. Male nipples exist for a reason and are actual vestigial organs that can be made to function with the right hormones. The clit can get erect like a penis, and there are women that have clits so large they resemble a small penis dot. I can suck a clit just as well as any girl has sucked the head of my penis. If you don't vibe, it means nothing. It's the other way around. Dicks are just overdeveloped clits.